Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Fempreneur Women of Substance series. I'm Khadija Osman, the founder of Fempreneur, and today we have the fabulous Jennifer Mccune with us. She is an independent consultant for Rodan+Field, and she has been running her own blog in the past as well. And she is a public speaker and a mompreneur. And today we'll be listening to her story and how she manages to balance work and home. Since most of us working women, we struggle from mom guilt a lot. So let's go on to Jennifer and hear her story, how she manages to strike a balance. So Jennifer, over to you. Please tell us more about yourself.
Yeah, thank you so much. And it's so great to meet you and be part of this wonderful community. I so appreciate you. And I know many thanks to you for all you're doing for so many women out there who are trying to make this happen. And it's so wonderful to know that we're in
It's
a
because of
community.
people like you that we make it happen. And it's your support and,
Well,
thanks
you're
for being
bringing
here. Thank you for your time.
Oh, you're welcome. And you're bringing everybody together. I think one of the things as women and moms, it's so nice to know that we're not alone and that
Yeah.
our feelings are so similar to many other women. I know so many moms out there. We do want to be able to have some sort of professional lives, make money, but want to be moms and be able to be with our kids. And we feel so guilty all the time. Are we giving enough to our jobs, to our kids, to our husbands, to our friends? And when we hear that other women are going through similar things, it just makes us feel so much better that we're not alone. So thank you for
Yes,
hearing
of
from
course.
people.
The challenges everywhere are the same. For a mother, like she has to give time to her kids and she
Right.
has to, and then you need time for yourself as well. So, share with us your professional journey. Like, how was it in the beginning, and then what made you choose Rodan+Field? We want to know all that.
Yes, absolutely. So I live in Charlottesville, Virginia, about
Mhm.
2 hours from Washington, D.C., for those of you who might not know where Charlottesville, Virginia is. And I started having babies 18 years ago. I had my first baby. So my kids are now 13, 16, and 18. And like a lot of you, and a lot of moms out there, when we start having kids, we really start reevaluating
Mhm.
what we want our professional life to look like.
Mhm.
So I worked full time for a little bit when my eldest was born. And when my second son was born, I stayed
Mhm.
home for a little bit full time. And then I started working part time and I was doing some teaching. And then I found a great job and I was doing culture and language training. And then my daughter was born, and I started working full time again for a while just because our family circumstances had changed.
Mhm.
And I really, as much as I loved working full time, I was really looking for a way to have more flexibility to be with my kids. And so I was also taking night classes because I was thinking maybe I needed to add more certifications to what I was doing. So I was
Mhm.
really busy. And I was just sitting there thinking, gosh, how do I want my life to look? I just don't want to be busy. I don't want to be working to then get to the next day, to get to the next weekend. I really want to have some flexibility to be with my
Mhm.
kids, but I also want to make money. And I
Mhm.
also want to be in a really empowering women supportive environment. So I'm on LinkedIn. A lot of you might have heard of LinkedIn. And I learned about Rodan+Field on that opportunity, on the business opportunity on LinkedIn. And I was really attracted to it because it was about women's financial health, helping women be able to be entrepreneurs and have the
Mhm.
flexibility to be with their kids. And it was also about our overarching health. It was about skincare. And I really believe in the importance of taking care of our health and our well-being.
Mhm.
And I liked that it was a women empowering women environment.
Mhm. You believed in the vision.
Yes, all
Yeah.
of it. And so I started it, and I started it in
Mhm.
very part-time hours. And I was still working full time. I was still taking night classes. And I just figured, even if I did 15 to 30 minutes, and some of those 15 to 30 minutes might have been my kids chatting with me in the background. I mean, the mom life, right? And I just started doing a little bit at a time. And a couple years in, about 2 years in, I was able to leave any other corporate jobs. So that gave me a lot more flexibility to be with the kids. And now it's been amazing. I've been doing it for 8 years, and my eldest is headed to college in the fall. I mean, we know that time with our kids goes fast. And so flies. I'm very glad that I had that vision to do something very different, because it's not a traditional job path at all. It's something very atypical that I chose. So,
Jennifer, like when your kids were younger and you started off, there must have been days when you were sleep deprived, and that probably hampered your productivity. What did you do about that? How did you manage to operate on less sleep and work and look after the kids? Like, for instance, that's what I'm struggling with, and I think a lot of people are struggling with that. So tell us about that. How did you manage that?
Well, I think one of the first things to do is to give yourself some grace and be like, you know what? It's okay if my house isn't perfect. It's okay if my kids don't eat 100% perfect all the time. It's okay if they might watch a show here or there, or whatever technology you might need to have some help. I wasn't doing my business when my eldest was born or my second was born, but there were days I had a hard time when the kids were young, just doing the other things I was doing. And there were days my husband would come home from work and it'd be like, this is when Finding Nemo was hot. That's how old my kids were. And my husband would come home from work and say, how many Finding Nemos did Max watch today? And if it was only one, it was a good day, because that means I did. If it was 2 or 3, John's like, wow, Jennifer did not have a good day. It was a tough day for her. And you know what? He's going to college. He's not a horrible kid. He watched Finding Nemo a lot. There were some days.
So it's okay.
You got to give yourself grace. I mean, we're all doing the best we can, and especially now with the global pandemic. Yes, if your kid watches a little bit more tech, if your kid eats a little bit more sugar, I promise the world's not going to end, and you're still
so true. My little ones, they were scribbling all over the walls, and I would something would be deep inside. I could not accept that, and it would really bother me. In fact, I got a little depressed on that. But then my husband told me that it's all right. So what? We'll paint the walls. It's okay.
Exactly. 100%. And we're so hard on wanting, and especially with your oldest child, wanting to make everything perfect, and you have to be the perfect mom, and you look at Instagram or Pinterest and all these things, and just enjoy your moment. Enjoy your moment and give yourself some grace. And then the other thing also is, if you have to do something in 15-minute increments, do it, and then say at whatever time, 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, whatever, like give your kid a full hour of attention and just pay attention to your child. Like, you'll feel like such a better mom. You're not continuously dividing your attention. And then, devote some time to your business. And I would recommend at least 15 minutes just focused on something that you love for you every day.
That's so true. Thank you for this tip, because we need that, and otherwise it gets very frustrating, because we feel, we've catered to our kids. We've, the home is neat and clean. Everything is fine, but we inside we're messed up, and, we need that thing. We need to have that time for us.
Absolutely. It's funny that you said the house is neat and clean. So I tend to be more on the neat side, and my husband is not. And we, this coming week, will have been married 21 years. And so he's cleaning out the garage as we speak. And he brought something in from the garage, and he put it on the dining room table. And he's like, I'm just going to sit it here for 2 weeks. And I didn't say anything. He said, did you hear me? And I repeated it back. You're just going to set it there for 2 weeks. And he's like, you're not irritated at me? I'm like, Honey, we've been married for 21 years. I'm just going to
Wow.
say no. So you just have to let some
Yes.
go
And
too.
we evolve, like, like he's cleaned it up now and he wouldn't do that before. So we evolve, and it's
Exactly.
all right, to change and accept changes within us.
Right.
It's all right.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So, Jennifer, there are a lot of multi-level marketing companies. There's Oriflame and there's Proactive as well. So, why did you choose Rodan& Field?
So Proactive is not a multi-level marketing company.
Okay,
That
it's
is
not.
the brand
It's,
that these women founded
uh-huh.
and have since sold.
Okay.
So as far as why, so I will be honest, I had never considered a home-based business. I have a
Mm-hmm.
PhD in Spanish. It's not like skincare or retail or sales or entrepreneurship was
Mm-hmm.
anything that I had ever had experience with. What I was very impressed with this brand is they had a global brand presence. As you mentioned, their first brand that they created,
Mm-hmm.
Proactive, is very well known globally. And that was impressive
Mm-hmm.
to me. The next thing, it's
Mm-hmm.
two women founders, and they had created this brand, and they originally partnered with Estee Lauder and ended
Mm-hmm.
up being #1 in Nordstrom until they pulled out and opened it up to entrepreneurs. So that was very impressive to me
Mm-hmm.
as well. I also liked that it's not a party plan model. So having that flexibility to be with my kids. I didn't have to go host, go be in people's homes and host
Mm-hmm.
parties every night. I love that it's skincare, so it's about our health and wellness and something to help bring us confidence. And on that note as well, I love that it's a consumable product, meaning people find something they love and order it over and over again, and that we have websites and can help people virtually and flexibly. I could have my kids on my lap and run my business as long as we have Wi-Fi and a phone. So all of those reasons I thought were smart from a business perspective, and I could learn a lot about entrepreneurship. But as far as being a mom, it fit in my vision of not only, like you mentioned, when my kids are younger, but I want to be the grandma who's really active and
Mm-hmm.
involved with my kids. I want to be traveling and seeing my grandkids wherever they leave, be very involved, have the finances to be involved with my grandkids and the flexibility. And so it was a vision I had for my whole life that fit very well with this brand.
Mm-hmm. So how does it work? How do you call people? How does direct selling work?
So direct sales is one of those models that I never appreciated before until I got into Rodan& Fields and learned that when it's done well, it's really a lovely thing. So right now, a lot of people, at least in the US, purchase on Amazon and or whatever, any sort of online thing, but we don't necessarily get great customer service in that you don't have a one-on-one person who's holding your hand and walking you through everything, right? In direct sales, when you find a business that's really good, what happens is basically you get to buy things directly from somebody who's going to help you get what you want. So you should have that good customer service. That's one thing that I strive to do, is to provide great customer service and help my team members who grow do the same thing for their team and their customers as well. So it's basically a way, instead of paying Nordstrom or Target or Costco or whomever, you're putting it back into an independent business owner. And it tends to help out a lot of women because we tend to be the caregivers for our families and are looking for entrepreneurial ways to support our families because we need and want that flexibility. So direct sales can be a wonderful opportunity for women in general to really have that opportunity to have both flexibility and financial money making opportunity.
So, who does your team involve? Like your team members?
That's a great question. And that's one thing that I love as well. Right now, Rodan& Fields is only in the US, Canada, Australia, and Japan. We're expanding globally and we're continuing to expand globally. So we'll cover more footprints in the world. But, I don't have any I might have a couple of men on my team, but it's primarily women. It's a lot of moms, but we have some older women, so they're grandmothers as well. We have younger moms, people who are just having babies. We have a couple of people who are not married yet, but they want to be moms, so they're looking at this. We have some single moms. We have married moms. It runs the gamut from all different age groups, all different walks of life. And really the common theme is let's support one another and lift each other up. We're all in this game of life together, right?
They sell on the phone, or do they go door to door? What's the model for it?
That's a great question. So I think one of the great things that I loved about Rodan+Fields as well is we were founded in today's day and age, meaning having phones, right?
Yeah.
A lot of direct sales models were found way before smartphones came around. So they had different models that they were based on. Since we were based on the model of understanding social media and having phones, a lot of what we really do is connect with people, whatever that looks like. Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram.
Now you have the social media as well.
Exactly.
Yeah. So what would you do if you're on a call and your child is screaming at the back? What would, how would you manage that?
That's, and that's real life.
Because, kids come following after you no matter where you are going with the phone.
Of course they do. And, my kids might not do that now, but my dog sure does. I mean, if my dog walked in right now, I'd be like, sorry. And, it's real life. And I've been on calls with people and that happen. And it's like, hey, this is real life. I'm sorry, my kid needs me. Can you just hold on 1 second? And it's not like in corporate America where you could get fired or any sort of corporate position. This is just real life. It's like, hey, that's why we do what we're doing, to have the flexibility to be with our kids. So that doesn't, I mean, I think
people are understanding, because that happens with me a lot, because I have a toddler and an infant and they're mostly screaming. And so I do tell people that, please excuse me. And then they'll come, hopping and jumping on me. So people are accepting of that. And you can manage to have a conversation going, and even a good one at that, actually, a productive one. So I think that shouldn't let you hinder, because I know that it stops a lot of women from doing anything, because they think, that you're maybe you can't control your kids. Well, they're going to act like that, and you have to do your work as well. Sometimes, economic conditions drive you to do that. So, you have to strike a balance. You have to learn how to strike a balance.
Exactly. And I think it's also okay to have the conversations with the kids. My kids were a little older than your kids are now when I started. But one of the things, and I think some people forget to do this, have a conversation with the kids and say, mommy has her own business, and when she's on the phone, it's your job to be quiet. And if you can be quiet when mommy gets off the phone, we can play whatever game they want to play, or do whatever puzzle they want to do, or blow bubbles together, whatever the case may be. I think a lot of times the moms don't explain to their kids and don't even give them a chance to understand. Now, I understand if they're a baby, you can't explain to a baby.
Of course.
The kids understand a lot younger
they do.
Credit for.
Yeah.
And so when I started my business, I taught to the kids and I said, what is something that you guys would like to do? And the kids said they wanted to go to Disney World. I said, great. I'm going to work on getting us to be able to go to Disney World. So I have 2 phone calls right now. Can you please be quiet for me? And when we get off, we'll hang out as a family. And then also just things like that of getting the kids involved so they understood. And they got to be really good at that. When I was on a call, I'd go like this, put my finger up, and they'd know, okay, mom's on a call. We got to be.
They get trained, they get toilet trained. They get trained for this as well.
Exactly. If you don't tell them, they don't know. You are not giving them the opportunity to participate. And if you're going to be an entrepreneur, that's a family business. Your kids have to know about it too. And it's a good learning lesson for them to see that mom can do this too, right?
It has to be teamwork. Like they are part of your team, and your spouse is part of your team. You can't do it alone if you don't create a conducive environment for yourself.
Exactly.
So,
Absolutely. Absolutely.
so that's the thing. And like, how did you manage time off for yourself? Uh,
That's a great question. So, one of the challenges a lot of us who are entrepreneurs face, and I think you face this, is you
yeah,
could work all of the time, right? So, it's
yes,
really
true.
hard. How do you turn that off? And so, one of the things that I tell all of my new team members and anybody that I talk to is it's important to set your hours of operation. When are you going to work? Have that in your mind. But at the flip side, it's also important to have your hours of non-operation. When are you not going to
So
work?
true. Cut
Leave
off
your
time.
phone.
Exactly.
Yes, exactly. Leave your phone. Don't look at your computer. Pay attention to your husband and your kids. Be completely there. So we have family dinner time every single night, and between 5 and 7, I try not to do any work. 5 to 6 is making dinner. My eldest son helps me now. It's a thing that we do together. 6 to 7 is mealtime, preparation, cleanup, all of that. And I used to not be good about that. And if I had a call come in, I'd take a call or do whatever. And it's like, no, this is so important to have that family dinner time or whatever that looks like for you and your family. Most of us, whatever business we're doing, the world is not going to end if we do
True.
not work during that time frame.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, that's time management basically. So, like, my cutoff time is 7. After that, it's with my kids and my family. So,
Right.
no work after that. Though, it's going on in the back of your mind. You're still working mentally, but because when you're an entrepreneur, there's so many things you have to think about. So, you're mentally at work, but then you have to give that time to your family as well. How
Right.
do you mentally shut off? I think I need some guidance with that. How do you manage to mentally shut off after a certain time?
I've gotten better at that. And part of that is to really make sure I'm with my family and really
Mhm.
actively listen. The other thing is I've tried to make sure I have a fun something I'm reading that's has nothing to do with skincare, Rodan+Fields, but just something fun that I'm enjoying. I really like to read. A lot of people might have some show that they like, even just a 20-minute show, something to laugh at. Just do something that's completely fun and funny that has nothing to do with your entrepreneurial goals. And I think it's so rejuvenating and especially now to find something to make you smile, whatever that looks like.
Yes, so basically, we need to be mindful when we are with them.
Mm-hmm.
Mindfulness.
Mm-hmm.
Have you actively taken classes or done something to for mindfulness? To
So a few years ago, I earned a leadership conference with Rodan+Fields, and the speaker
okay.
was a man named Sean Achor, Achor. I hope
Mm-hmm.
I'm pronouncing his name right. And he wrote a book called The Happiness Advantage. And I highly recommend that. I read it years ago and I just reread it at the beginning of when everything started to happen again this year. And that was my big beginning into that sort of mindfulness, positive psychology type work. And yeah, I've worked hard on that. And I think that's been very beneficial and
Mm-hmm.
helpful as well.
I think I'll get that now. And Jennifer, like some days when you're really stressed, you tend to take it out on your children. It does happen at times, no matter how much of a conscious parent you are. But sometimes when you're stressed and they're like pulling at your clothes or something like that, then you tend to lash out. How did you make up for those days or the guilt that you felt afterwards? That happened. Did that happen with you?
It happens to every mom. And if a mom doesn't say it happens, then she's lying. And it happened to me the other day. I mean, it still happens. And so I remember the first time that happened and it kills you later. You feel so bad later. And I was talking to my mother about it and she said, honey, the great thing is you're demonstrating to your children that you're human. And your kids need to understand that you're human. It's so helpful. So it's
So,
not bad that you do it, but then just go back and talk to them about it. And even when they were little, like where your kids' age are, be like, Mommy's so sorry. She was very angry yesterday and said things she shouldn't have. So sorry. Let's have hugs. And already showing your kids that A, you can have feelings and be human. B, you can talk about it and share and apologize and give each other hugs, and it's okay. And I think giving yourself that grace, you don't want your kids to think that they're going to end up having to either be like you and be the perfect mom, or B, marry the perfect, it's just not attainable on either
that's,
side.
impossible. I think so you have to teach them to be human.
Excellent.
And I think that's the whole game. That's what
Absolutely.
it's all about.
Absolutely.
So it's all right to be human. You don't have to be perfect at everything. That's the
Exactly.
main thing we need to learn.
Absolutely.
But a lot of women, I think it's within us to be a perfectionist, and we need to, as you said, give ourselves grace. We need to relax a bit and take it a bit easy on ourselves, not be too hard on ourselves, basically.
Exactly. Absolutely. As a mom, as a wife, as an entrepreneur, as everything.
So we're on Facebook Live, and on StreamYard they don't show the comments. So I'm just going to pop on Facebook and see if we have any comments, any
Sure.
questions.
I think I saw you raise your hand up.
I think we're doing a great job because we don't have any questions.
Okay, well, that's
Yes.
great. Well,
So maybe we're answering all the questions. And Jennifer, what made you particularly choose skincare over, content writing? It came naturally to you. You liked interacting with people. What was it that really drove you towards direct selling in this model of business?
Well, like I mentioned, I chose Rodan+Fields. I did not choose necessarily
Okay.
direct sales. I chose
Uh-huh.
Rodan+Fields, and it's interesting. You mentioned to me, I feel comfortable reaching out to people, that sort of thing. I didn't feel comfortable with any of that. I really was more of a self-proclaimed introvert who could be an extrovert if need be. But the reason I decided that I was going to put myself out there because of my business was because of my children and because of the future that I envisioned. And I figured, if this is laid out for me, I can put myself outside of my comfort zone. I can try something new. Every day that I chose to do my business, which was every day once I started, I had a goal in the beginning of reaching out to 5 people. And I had a complete and utter stomach ache. I lost 10 pounds my first month in business. I was so nervous to reach out to 5 people a day. I would pray that they would not pick up the phone. I'd say, please, God, don't pick up the phone. And they'd pick up the phone. I'd be like, ah. I mean, it was very, very hard. But I had this vision of this life that I wanted for me
Yes.
and my family. And it didn't involve me sitting behind a desk and not having the opportunity to be with them. So it was worth it to me outside of my comfort
You
zone,
stepped outside of your comfort zone.
way outside of my comfort zone.
Yeah, so I can totally relate to that because I am an introvert and I was the shyest person you could come across. But then this cause of mine to uplift women and support them, provide them value, and speakers like you who have so much insight to share. I stepped out of my comfort zone. I started making these videos. So, somebody might benefit and learn if, there's a mompreneur or an aspiring mompreneur who
Right.
wants to go out and who wants to work, but these things are stopping her. That how will she manage her time? How will she, be do justice to her kids as well as to her home and to her work. So it is a struggle. Like you struggled, I struggled. It doesn't come easy, but the long term benefits, they're going to be great.
Absolutely.
So we have to step outside of the comfort zone. That's where growth is. And, we can't grow when we're just shelled and cocooned and, too comfortable in our couches. We have to go out there, put ourselves out there. So
Exactly. And as one of my dear friends told me, gave me a great piece of advice one time, it's not just about you. It's about, as you mentioned, this vision of all these people that you can help. And yeah, it's
yes.
not always easy. And you have to put yourself out there sometimes.
So you're one brave lady.
Well, and I think there's so many incredibly brave women out there, and sometimes we just need to know that there are people supporting them. I think sometimes we feel very alone and we feel like people are going to judge us, and understanding that other people have walked in your shoes or that you have other people supporting you is just the little extra push that you need to jump, to make that jump, to make that leap into something new and exciting that could be totally transformational.
True. So that was great, Jennifer. So glad you could make this and, give us some time. How can we bring Rodan+Fields to Pakistan?
I know, right? I will be excited when it is in Pakistan, Khadija, and you will be one of the first to know, I'm sure. So,
oh, thank you. So I will have you as my consultant then.
Well, that would be lovely. I would be happy to work with you.
Okay, so it was great having you today here, and I'm sure the community benefited as well with your insights and how to manage time and how to give yourself time as well. So I think that's it for tonight, and have a great weekend, everyone. And you too, Jennifer.
Thank
Till we meet again. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.